the picture. Okay, it says this hangout on air is live. What was I watching? I think it was a Jimmy Fallon thing. Was that what it was? No. It was John Oliver, and he was making some reference about things being in the house. Oh, it was talking about lead, and he's like, lead's everywhere in the house. It's almost like Frozen merchandise being everywhere in your house.
Yeah.
Like hashtag let it go. Pretty funny.
That is.
All right.
I'm a big fan of John Oliver. I watch pretty much every episode.
Yeah, he's killing it right now. Here we go. You are listening to the Furlo Bros Tech Podcast, episode 239.
Welcome to Season 6, Episode 239 of the Furlo Bros Tech Podcast. Today is April the 24th, 2016. I'm Matthew Dean Furlo, and compressing data from the middle out is my brother, James Furlo.
I really knew what you were referring to there. Compressing data from the middle out.
Yes, you are obviously not an HBO subscriber.
No, I'm not.
If you ever get a chance
HBO
to watch,
thing?
Yeah, if you ever get a chance to watch the show Silicon Valley from
okay,
brought to you by the folks over at HBO, it's great. it's very good, and the company that sits center stage. That's one of their products is a middle out compression algorithm.
Oh.
And the scene.
Did they ever tell you what that means, or is that part of the fun of they just made that up?
Oh yeah, they get into it. I mean, HBO is allowed to do stuff and say stuff that you can't. Like one of the biggest criticisms that fair folk have of Game of Thrones, which also starts up tonight. That's the big thing. These are starting again tonight. Game of Thrones is that it's gratuitous nudity and violence. Like you get this really great story just packed between every once in a while. Like this isn't. I feel weird watching this like at all, much less in the company of anybody else.
Yeah, the number one reason why I have zero interest in watching it. But
it's pretty
but Silicon Valley.
Where Silicon Valley, they don't have the same. They don't have the same sort of like visual stuff going on, like violence or nudity.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get into language stuff though that you're like, oh, okay, this is pretty. This is a little bit ribald, and the discussion where they come up with the middle out algorithm it's a bit ribald. It's very funny, but it's good. It's interesting, and what's great about it is it's just kind of, I don't know. They really do a great job of having all the different elements of the valley kind of here, and just like they go to TechCrunch, I think they to disrupt TC, they go to they live in the area. They make jokes about the Rosewood Hotel, which happens to be where our cousin / my roommate works. Yeah. They talk about the Sandhill billionaires. I don't know. It's a good show. It's pretty funny and yeah, it's not so inappropriate that you feel bad for watching it.
That's good. Not so inappropriate. Understand? Yeah.
But no, it's good. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. If you got time and money. Also, this is probably a good point to bring up that I'm again invisible to you.
Yeah. What's up with that, man? It's like,
I don't know.
Every week.
So it started, yeah, it started, geez, before you left. And so it's been months and months. It's been like 2 months. So we got done with our conversation last week, and I like immediately went on Amazon and bought a webcam. So my webcam
Okay.
stopped working, and OS X, like external webcams, there's not a ton that like support it really well, and the ones
Oh,
that do
interesting.
support it really well tend to be kind of really expensive. So I was like, the one that I had was pretty affordable. It worked well. I don't know what it just stopped it, why it stopped working, but I figured, hey, I like Logitech. I'll go back for round two with it. So I bought the exact same model, and um, and it showed up, and I
Okay.
plugged it in, and nothing happened. Exact
Oh,
same.
perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so now I've gone in and I've investigated further, trying to figure out what was going on, and it turns out like they work as microphones still. I didn't realize that, but it was like it's still being detected by my computer. Just the webcam part of it doesn't work, and it's not something that broke in that model. The new one doesn't work either, and so now I
Okay,
have.
perfect.
Exactly. So now I'm gonna have to. I have a working webcam that won't work with my Mac. I have a brand new working webcam that I have to return to Amazon, get my 50
Yep.
bucks back because these aren't cheap.
Whoa.
And yeah, and then I have to go and buy an even more expensive webcam that's actually designed to work with OS X and is supported on El
So is that what
Capitan.
happened? Mac upgraded their operating system and Logitech didn't?
I'm
That was
assuming
that
that that's what
process?
happened. I'm assuming
Huh.
that's the only explanation that I can come up with. Super
Interesting. Okay.
frustrating, man.
Yeah. Imagine
So
so.
yeah, but that's
Hmm.
okay. It's all right. Things are good. Things are all right. So I one more week. Next week we should have crossed the finish line and gotten this problem solved. I think. You can see
Man.
my beautiful face again.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. All right. Cool.
But
Technology, man, that whole interoperability stuff could be a pain.
exactly.
Exactly.
So yeah, but you know what, James? We're not here to talk about technology this week. Actually, we are. This week,
We're
like
not
every
here to talk
week,
about personal tech.
exactly. This week, like every week, we'll be talking about technology and the continuing corporate opera. And by that, we mean the soap opera of corporations' dealings back and forth, the people working for them, their marketing campaigns, and of course, the technology they're developing. But before we get into the heart of the show, James has got a short disclosure he wants to throw our way.
Yes, I founded and work for HPI. However, I do not represent HPI or any of HPI's opinions. I am also an owner of Twitter and Etsy, and recently got my proxy vote in Twitter's upcoming meeting. So
Nice.
there you go.
I will say this I think we've crossed some sort of a threshold. This is the first time you said that you were a founder of HBI, co-founder of HBI, and I didn't chuckle to myself at all.
That's just because you're feeling under the weather.
Oh, you're right. That's probably it.
Next week it'll be back.
Yeah,
Don't
I don't
worry.
have any.
Don't worry.
Especially if HP does something, you know.
HPI, please. No,
HPI. There we go.
dude, we still refer to ourselves as HP. It's kind of weird, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Well, HPI is like a. It just doesn't sound as good, but
Well, yes. Well, that was also true, which we all knew the second they announced the name. You went, oh, cool. All right.
great. Yay. It's wonderful. Thanks,
I
guys.
get why you'd want to make the name different, but we're keeping the
Yeah.
logo the same. So whatever.
Inexplicably,
Everyone still refers to it as HP. I
I'm
wonder what
not
they
sure
do
if
on the
it's.
other side.
I'm not sure if it's TechCrunch or if it's The Verge or which one it is, but somebody loves the new HP logo that you're using on your laptops. I mean, like they write long articles
Really?
talking about how good it looks, like what the process of coming up with it was, the history of
Are
the
you
new
sure it's
logo.
not satire? Like they genuinely like it.
It seems quite
Wow.
genuine, just
Cool.
enthusiastic. I know.
You
I
know what?
never.
That's true. I had a so we had the CEO come to Corvallis a few weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, whatever. Came to Corvallis, and he has this. It was kind of fun. He's got this like this thing that he does where he was talking about. He waits until someone asks the question, and then very clearly you can tell like it's a setup for his shtick that he does. And so, anyways, he was talking about how he 3 years ago challenged a team, and he holds up a laptop. He's like, I challenged. He goes, this was our laptop, and I showed it to my kids, and I was like, what do you guys think? They were like, lame. So going back to the engineers, and he's like, I challenged them to make a better laptop, and it was like twice as thin, you know. And the engineer's like, oh, it's so hard, but he's like, but they did it. And he opens up the laptop, and there's another one sitting inside of it.
Oh wow,
sweet. It's like, so we had this, and he's like, and it was fantastic. And I showed it to my kids, and they're like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. So I came back to the engineering team the next year and was like, all right, guys, twice as thin. And the engineer's like, oh, it's so hard. But they did it. He opens up that laptop. There's another one sitting inside of it.
Oh, man.
This guy's a wizard. And so, and he's like, and it was pretty thin at that point. And he's like, but I came back to him and was like, all right, guys, you know what's coming. And so then he was like twice as thin. So they do it a third time. They just been, you know, taking the integral of this thing, essentially, right? They're taking it to the limit. And he opens up that one. There's another one inside.
That was dorky, James. Taking the integral.
I know. So, anyways, he's got another one in there. And then he was like, and now one more time, I was like, I know you guys don't think you can do this, but you can do it. He's like, and now we have the world's thinnest laptop this year, beginning of year 4, which I guess is true. And he's like, and I checked with a lot of lawyers, and they all said I can say this. So, like, yeah, I could just imagine that. Could you imagine all these lawyers with like calipers and stuff just running around, just like checking to make sure? But anyways, and he brings on that one.
That's a pretty good marketing mind, you know, like actually that, you know, just trying to stoke and get Hewlett Packard excited and, you know, talk about innovation and stuff. I mean, it'd be super easy to do because all you have to do is literally have the laptop be thinner than the thickness of the larger laptop minus the shell. I mean, it's not like it's clever.
Yeah, no, it was very cool. But it was cool. But for that last one, he mentioned, and this is where it comes back, he mentioned the logo. And he was like, yeah, with this gorgeous logo on it. I was like, what? And at the time I was like, okay, cool.
Yay, logos.
Neat. But now that you've made that comment too, you know, starting to put 2 and 2 together, be like, huh, oh, wow, that was loud. Apparently that was a big deal. However they made it and designed it and did all of that.
And it's weird because it's like, because it's not even like a giant. It's 4. For those of you who don't know, it's 4 dash. There's 4 lines. 2 are long, 2 are short, and they all sort of line up so that it looks as though the top of the. Just go look it up, guys. I'm not going to describe it to you. But it's just type in new HP logo into Google.
Doing it right now. I don't even know what it is. I'm such a horrible employee. Oh, dude, that's not new. I mean, is it new?
That's part of what.
Is it new to you?
That's actually that's part of why they're getting into the history of it, is because it's not actually new.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that this is an interesting story, but it's definitely something that the Verge writers have gotten really, really into. It's
the 4 lines. That was. Yeah, that design's like that's a few years old.
On April 20th, how HP's brilliant new logo came to be, and it's like a really long article with videos and pictures and it's not satire.
Wow, that's funny. Yeah, no, I remember they initially they ditched it because they thought it was going to be too confusing because like it's just 4 lines, big deal. If you know what it is, cool.
Right.
What HP's going for, but interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why people care. But
new logo, I love it. 4 lines. draw that. That's good.
It is easy to do. Yes. So show intro brought to you by Hewlett Packard, HPI. So if you want to follow us throughout the week, I don't think we got to that point.
Yeah, good call, man. Yeah.
My Twitter is at Matthew D Furlo. My Instagram is nextwigan4, and yeah, those are the big ones.
I am James Furlo on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, jamesfurlo.com, to my personal blogger. And yeah.
Oh, yes. If you want to get all the links to everything that we're going to talk about on this show, go to furlobros.com. James may or may not post a link to that HP. You know what? We're not going to. If you can't bother to type in new HP logo into Google, you don't want to know bad enough. But the
depending on our title, I might draw it for our image, but it's 4 lines, so
yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Spoiler.
So Furlo, but at furlobros.com, all the links for all the articles that we talk about today, any videos, anything like that.
I guess you can say it a little bit differently. You take the H and the P, right?
Yes.
Just get rid of all the horizontal lines. So on the H, that top part, get rid of that. For the P, the top part and the bottom part, just get rid of that. That's it right there.
Yes. Yes.
It's like someone had a little eraser and went to those 2 sections and went, new logo.
Yeah. It's logos are fascinating things because
if you know what it means, it looks cool.
Yeah. Well, and if you push it out there enough, I actually think it's a good logo.
That's the hope.
That being said, I think it's a good logo. That being said, I think it's ridiculous how much attention is being paid to it. People are like really into it. Like, yeah, it looks pretty cool. Like, yeah, but all right, fine.
It's your company identity.
I don't know. It's your signature.
It's better than a green triangle, a rectangle, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is 100%. What a bunch of losers over on the others.
I just love it where you look and go, isn't it the budget logo?
I know, yeah.
It's the same color green. No, totally different shade.
You know what I really loved too is I typed in new HP logo into Google and all those exactly the logo I was looking for pops up as all the images, and then there's a pay ad from HPE.com.
Excellent.
Don't forget about us. Nobody cares about you. Go away, Meg Hitzman.
They don't want you anyways. They're after IT customers.
Yeah. Too bad they're not buying. Jeez. HPE. They seem to be in a mess. I mean,
are they? I'm not following them at all.
They're doing fine, but they're not like coming out with anything big. Like the space that they want is the space that Google Cloud Services, Amazon Web Services, and Azure are really just killing it. And they want to compete for that type of technology, that pricing structure, but using the Cisco model of let's actually build hardware and stuff. And you're like, there's so much competition there. There's not, it's just you gotta out innovate all these guys. And it goes back to what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago with their products that they're like complaining because IBM's Watson gets all the cool attention, and they're like, we've got competing products that are just as good. Like, no, you don't. There's nothing exciting and future like facing. Like today, yes, you might be doing all right, but there's nothing about your product lineup right now and what you've announced and what you're building that suggests in 5 years you're going to be doing way better and that you're going to be outpacing everybody. And I just,
yeah, well, it's all right. But let's talk about a technology instead that is going to gain some traction.
There we go. Talk to me.
So I saw an article, and it reminded me of a conversation that I had while in Indonesia. I'm going to try to say that as often as possible, just kind of drop that little factoid. So during this conversation, this guy, friend who I was with, he goes, "You know what someone should invent?" I'm like, oh, I have lots of ideas, but what are you thinking of specifically? and, uh, and he goes, "I want to be able to shop online and then pick up my groceries, shop online for food at like Winco, and then pick up my groceries at a drive-through and go home." That's what he goes. That should be a thing, right? I was like, yeah, that does sound pretty cool.
That's a pretty good idea.
There are obvious reasons why it won't happen or wouldn't or would happen slower than we would like it to. I went the impulse buying probably being a large reason for it. But I was also like,
so this is
grocery stores don't have drive-through pickup either.
and this is as opposed to I guess there's a use case that it makes sense. So what's the difference between that and delivery? Well, that and delivery is, you're in control of the delivery timing. You're physically presently there. Yeah, I could see that.
I think one of his assumptions too is that it can be done faster. I think.
Yeah, that makes sense because basically,
well, that and it's like you can get produce,
and
stuff because they could put it in a freezer right up until or a cooler or whatever right up until you drive up.
Yeah. Okay.
So, anyways,
I could see. I think obviously for web cameras, I'd rather have
pretend you're a busy mom, for crying out loud. Come on,
deliver it. But for groceries, I could see. For certain types of products, I could see how this would be that would actually work.
Yeah. Right. So it turns out that there is a service called Curbside.
Ooh.
That helps grocery stores, and specifically, they're announcing a huge partnership with CVS.
Oh.
That essentially allows people to do that. So they've got, it's exactly what you would think. They've got an app, has everything listed in the store. Well, it's not everything. So for like CVS, they're like, it's a large percentage of it. They don't have local items listed in it. Does that make sense?
No.
So something that's very yeah, I know. Anything that's specific to that particular store or area.
Oh, because like a lot of CVSs have like swag for the particular city you're in, and
yeah, they're not going to have that in the app. So you have to arduously go into the store to get that. Yeah,
our dad oftentimes likes to point out the fact that they'll just use whatever color palette for their town name here in whatever color, and the fact that it's like the color of competing schools, like main team colors. Our dad's like, "What are they green? What? Look into it a little bit."
Exactly. You're not even trying.
Yeah, down with Saratoga, by the way.
Yeah. So right now, Curbside, CVS and Curbside, they're going to start rolling out to their 9,600 retail pharmacy locations. And not only that, but their CVS, they are adding a branded pickup option called CVS Express. So again, the idea is you do exactly what my friend wanted to do. You go to, in this particular case, you can go to the CVS mobile app. They're using Curbside's technology in their app. You go, you order, and then you get a notification, usually within I think it's within an hour or 24 hours. I mean, it's like crazy fast. It's I don't even remember anymore. You get a notification that says your order is ready. Come pick her up, and then you go pick it up, and it's done essentially. And I think it's all charged through the app, is my guess. That's how it very much should be. And they got different ways of verifying who you are and stuff like that. Oh yeah, I love this. So the orders are sent to the staff in the store, who they've got their own software, so they know what to get. And when the customer arrives, Curbside geolocation technology, which I'm like, that's a really complicated way of saying they just know. Location.
They give a GPS map. That's hilarious.
in the phone. Yeah, yeah. Again, it alerts the staff who then bring the order out to the car. That's pretty cool, actually.
That is actually very cool.
It's like, oh, they thought that through. That's nice.
Yeah.
And so a lot of stuff, top sellers are items like diapers, baby stuff, and everyday items.
Yes. Mom doesn't have to get out of the car with the infant. You know what? I get that. I was going to say, I mean, it's not like this is unprecedented as a strategy. You know, pizza delivery has been a thing for a long
Yeah, just pick
time.
up within an hour. That's right.
But at the same time, like, if you don't want delivery, you can go do pizza for pickup. Which, by the way, why is it that pizza like has this unique distinction as food that they deliver? Why is it that no other food ever? I guess Chinese food in New York kind of got that reputation, but
markup's high enough they can afford it.
Is that ouch? That's probably true. That's oh that man.
Well, what else would you want?
That hit me right in the pocketbook. I don't know. It's just like why
like McDonald's? Why doesn't McDonald's deliver?
Right, I guess. I mean, why pizza and nothing else? Why not Chinese food? Why not spaghetti, you know, like your local Italian restaurants? Why is it just pizza?
Yeah, why not ice cream? Just deliver that.
That's actually not a horrible idea. And actually the big one to me, and this I should know better considering how I'm feeling right now, but liquor. Why isn't there delivery liquor? Keeps everybody safe. What?
A ton of trouble.
Yeah. For tax reasons, I gotta believe that's the biggest struggle. But man, I gotta believe you're at a party and you didn't buy quite enough beer, and somebody's gonna deliver beer. I don't know. This is completely off topic, though.
Interesting ideas. Yeah, I don't know why. That's mostly pizza.
Yeah. So now I think this is a good idea.
I think it comes down to like you got to have a big enough ticket item to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
You know, like again, like let's not even use McDonald's. Let's use Arby's, right? Someone really gonna deliver me a couple Arby's sandwiches and some fries? Come on.
What is there? There's like a bunch of apps now that you can get that do food delivery. I'm gonna have to spell this correctly if I'm going to look it up. Food delivery app, DoorDash and Grubhub.
Oh yeah.
And like a lot of those, like their whole strategy is they just have relationships with local restaurants, and you go and and so all of a sudden everything is delivery. But
hey, did you hear that Uber like they're dropping their whole food delivery thing?
Is it just because nobody uses it?
Apparently, or something. I don't know. Yeah, but they're getting out of it. So, anyways, curbside. The idea of you order and then they'll just put it in your cart for you. Kind of a cool idea. So my friend was right. It should be a thing. It is a thing.
That's cool.
They're working a little bit with other retailers. Target is one of them, and which I'm like, all right, cool. Target's a pretty big one, and so they're working through how to roll that out, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
I like it.
I'd like it too. So speaking of deliveries, what if you don't want to have humans involved in delivering at all? You just want to have it all be done by drone. That's right, guys. This is the drone section of the podcast, your weekly drone update. So DJI made an announcement of a new drone, and
those guys are just killing it lately.
It's amazing. DJI is they're crazy. It's a turning point, an inflection of sorts. This is the first major Chinese brand engineering firm that's really like there's nobody in America that's even coming close to them right now. And which is an interesting story in and of itself, I think. Just sort of how is it that you're finally getting to this where it's like cutting edge stuff? They're not just competing on, it's like a lot of your major Chinese manufacturers, like for phones and stuff in China, their great innovation is that they build pretty decent phones for incredibly cheap prices. DJI is not making incredibly cheap drones that are pretty good drones. They're making state-of-the-art stuff, and it's incredible. And uh, speaking of their state of the art stuff, you've got the new M600 Pro drone. This thing is a beast. It's huge. It is, well, for starters, it's $5,000. So this is not
Yeah,
for
there's that.
that Pro in the title. Yeah, they're serious about that.
That means something. It's not
Yes,
like my iPad, which happens to be the same price as the previous one.
exactly. Yes. So this thing is really cool in that, all the DJI drones up to this point have had really good cameras built onto them, but they're not professional like cinema cameras. They're good, high
Yeah.
quality cameras with a gimbal built in. Well, DJI developed a new gimbal that would, using all of their technology, that would be way more flexible, so you could use like professional digital cameras, cinematic experience cameras, a lot bigger, a lot more robust. And then this week they also announced that BT Dubs were also gonna throw in a drone that can carry that much bulkier, bigger camera, and some of its specs are really cool. So you can get it in a couple of different configurations. One of the top end one, it's got 3 GPS uh, antennas. It's got
Mm.
multiple brains. They're all communicating all the time. It allows them to get like millimeter precision when they're flying it. And it also allows them to do things like tracking shots where they can script out a movement for the camera and then repeat it again and again and again, which is a really big deal because in movie making, they have cameras like that, boom cameras that allow you to do precise movements again and again and again, every time the same way. It is one of the reasons why they're able to do special effects, is because they know how the cameras move and they move in very particular ways. It allows for much better scripting because you know exactly where the camera is going to be. And so if you had somebody on the ground with a little controller constantly having to do it by hand, you wouldn't be able to get it done. So this is really going to be great for professional movie makers who are trying to get to the point where they can use the traditional movie making techniques, which has
Yeah.
just billions of dollars of technology behind it and entire infrastructures, and now it fits into that way of making movies for a mere $4,600. And uh, which actually, when you're talking about professional movie making, that's cheap. I mean, that's not bad. One of the big things people worry about though is it's a drone, and occasionally they fall out of the sky. And
Has
drones
yeah.
drones that fall out of the sky carrying your $10,000 4K Sony cameras are not something that people want. So this has got some pretty cool safety mechanisms built in, where it's just incredibly intelligent about where it is, what's around it, different sensors going on everywhere, and its ability to make sure it's not going to fall out of the sky and destroy your camera is way up there. But they've even got really really crazy stuff going on, like the ability to lose rotors. And there's a video that you can that of them losing rotors where they'll remotely pop the rotors off, and the drone can stay in the air after losing 3 of its 6 rotors of its
Wow.
propellers. And this is the big thing.
Even if
It
they're all on one side?
Yes.
Wow.
And what it starts to do is uh, how if you know, like with helicopters, you got the prop on the top, and then you got the little prop on the back that
Yeah.
stops it from rotating because it'll spin around. Well, with drones, you always need 2 of each of the props because that balances the torsion, and then it doesn't spin. Well, if you go unbalanced, all of a sudden it starts to spin all over the place. So they go with it, and it's crazy when they pop them off because the thing just starts like whipping around at ridiculous speeds and just sort of like hovering there, rattling like crazy. They're like, yeah, it's not good for your camera. This isn't an ideal flight pattern, but we're not going to drop your camera out of the sky, which is just incredibly impressive and really cool. And Oh, it's awesome. One of the things that I have a friend who's gotten into videography and specifically drone videography, and he's got a couple of DJIs and stuff in there. But I was talking with him, and he said what's great and one of the big selling points on this thing is that it uses 6 battery packs, but they're the standard battery packs, which are just under the limit for how much lithium ion you can have in a like given package before you need special shipping requirements, so you can like take them on planes and stuff. And they made a really big deal about the fact that, yeah, we, instead of making a big battery, you can use 6 of these smaller batteries. At which point he pointed out they still only last for 30 minutes. So if you run out of batteries, you need another 6 battery packs. I was like, oh, that's a lot. He goes, if you're going to do like a 2 or 3 hour shoot, it cost another $6,000 in batteries to have them all ready to go. I was like, oh yeah, they didn't mention that, did they? That's not nothing. That increases the price a little bit, but
Yeah.
win some, you lose some. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, dude, I like it. It's they were looking for their own. They were scratching their own itch, and it's working. I like it.
It's really neat.
That's cool. Man, I want one.
I do want to throw
I
out
don't even know what I would do with it, but I want one.
I do want to throw out 2 other things that happened this week. Number one,
yeah, keep the drone updates going.
There we go. A drone crashed into a plane, or did the plane crash into the drone? Like a commercial airliner? Yeah, flying into Heathrow Airport, or so we're told. It's actually, there's some controversy because I don't really know exactly what it was. I mean, it was probably a drone, but they don't like could have been a bird, and actually could have been a bird pretty easily. But got a lot of attention because everybody was like, oh my gosh, drones and the airplanes, and everybody's worried about the first time a drone takes down an airplane.
Anything happened to the airplane?
No, they're designed to be able to hit things like that. You know, if it were huge, if it were the size of a helicopter, obviously that'd be a problem. But even a large drone isn't going to be any bigger than a large bird. And I mean, it's not good.
It says here they were cleared to operate its next flight. So
yeah,
clearly, okay.
Yeah. That being said, it is illegal officially to shoot down a drone, especially in America. If you shooting down a drone is considered a federal crime. The FAA has officially announced that.
Unless you're, what was it? Was it someone's able to shoot them down, right? Oh no, they can just control them.
Right. Yeah,
that was the idea. If they all went through the cell phone towers.
Exactly. Get this, but the FAA basically came out and said it's a federal crime to shoot to damage an aircraft. So it doesn't really matter if there's a person on it or not. You just can't do that. So this isn't a new thing or anything. It's just they're interpreting the law as it stands, and it's a safety concern. If you shoot a drone, it falls out of the sky, and
that's fair.
Yeah. So don't. Somebody's flying a drone over your house, you're gonna have to take care of it a different way.
Just let it go.
Let it go.
It's kind of catchy, huh?
It is.
Ironically.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Nice. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So you may have seen a few headlines floating around over the last few days of this last week talking about how Apple recycled $40 million worth of gold.
Which is pretty impressive.
Which was extracted from iPhones.
Yeah, and this kind of fed into the story that when they announced the iPad that you bought, that they announced that a robot that could disassemble iPhones automatically for recycling, right? And it's all part of their big push.
Liam, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. On Motherboard, this writer here named Jason Keebler, maybe. He says almost none of it's true.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it not gold?
Yeah, he's like, and I mean, and he's like, I love it. He's just building it up. Where he's like, look, CNN, Fox, Huffington Post, Mac
Yes,
Rumors,
posting everywhere.
Gizmodo, Quartz, The Verge. There are like hundreds of them talking about Apple's environmental responsibility report, and he's just like, you guys are dumb. So he's like, and he said the most egregious and inaccurate storyline goes something like this: Apple, out of the goodness of their heart, or
Gee.
perhaps fueled by monetary incentives, took old iPhones and iPads that were brought back into its stores, took them apart, melted down the roughly 30 milligrams of gold in each phone, and ended up with 2,204 total pounds of gold.
All right.
It's like that's it.
Right.
Um,
Seems believable enough, I suppose.
yeah. He's like, no, can't work that way. For a few reasons. I like this. He just works through the math here. Um, let's see. He says, yeah, Liam, they got their recycling robot. It's capable of disassembling 1.2 million phones per year. Simple math shows that Apple would have had to have collected 33.3 million iPhones to recover that much gold. In other words, in this alternate reality, rather than refurbish and resell these iPhones for hundreds of dollars a piece in developing nations, Apple decided to destroy them to harvest roughly $1 worth of gold per device.
Right. That's
And the second I read that, I went, yeah, I don't think they would do that.
yeah. It doesn't sound like Apple.
Yeah, and you'd rather say like we're repurposing them. It's you make more money, it's easier, it's even more sustainable, really.
Right.
So he says more commonly it was reported that Apple recycles about 90 million pounds of e-waste through its recycling program. However, he goes, what's interesting about that is that people are saying, oh, it's iPhones and other older Apple products. And so he's like, it's getting a little bit closer to correct. And they're saying, like, again, 2,204 pounds of that was reportedly gold, worth about $40 million. He's like, okay, we're getting a little bit closer to that, but not quite still there. So here goes. Here's what happens. Here's how this works, okay? So this is kind of how companies do this thing. So they said essentially, Apple pays independent recyclers to recycle old electronics, which, by the way, are almost never Apple products, on their behalf. Because it's required by law for Apple to pay for a certain amount of recycling based on the pounds of product that they sell. Okay. So there are within 25 states, every single electronics manufacturer is required to do this recycling thing. It's like, and the amounts are different and stuff like that. But what they say, he's not 100% sure what it's linked to, whether it's like market share or weight. They think it's weight because Apple noted in their thing 71% of the total weight of products we sold 7 years earlier, which is kind of how they do the math here. So what's interesting about this is he goes, there's two things. Number one, it doesn't have to be Apple products. It's like, so a lot of CRT monitors, oh man, big money in that because they weigh a ton.
Right.
and they're old. So it's like, so and I guess there is some gold in there too that gets used. So it's like, so it's mostly those. It goes, and better yet, because of the way the laws are written, iPhones and iPads don't count towards the pound thing. That is part of the requirement. It really is, it's just computers and TVs and things like that. It's like, so for all these iPhones and iPads Apple's selling, doesn't even count towards it. So they might be recycling some. They're like, and they do have their own iPhone recycling program and buyback and all that stuff. Like, but relative to all the e-waste they get just in the US, like, it's just a tiny fraction. It's like, honestly, a majority of it goes to Goodwill. and
Right.
and other municipal recycling programs, but a lot of it's goodwill. And so so they're saying like, so it's not necessarily like, it's not, he's like, how do I want to say it? It's like, it's not a bad thing. It's not like Apple's not liars or anything. It's just, as a electronics manufacturer, they're like, that's what they are. They're a manufacturer, not a recycler.
Right.
And they're like, and iPhones, they just don't weigh much relative to CRTVs and old servers and computer monitors and stuff like that. And so and most of the gold is found in old PCs and servers. So he's like, that's honestly what they are targeting there. And so essentially it kind of works like almost like pollution credits, where you get recycling credits. So again, you have a recycler who's doing this and taking it all apart. And essentially Apple says, we will pay you money to get the credit for what you recycled. Right. And
it's like they're servers that are use only renewable energy, solar and whatnot, and wind. And the truth is that they're connected to the grid, and they use coal power, or oil power. They use traditional power plants to run the servers, but what they're paying for is an equal amount of energy from renewable sources as well. So their server farms, which require ridiculously stable power sources, now work because they have traditional stable power sources where they're not affected by the amount of wind and the amount of sun, but they also are paying into it. And so those industries are getting the investment, and you're getting the perks and benefits from it, but it's not exactly as straightforward as a lot of times it's portrayed.
Yeah. And so he was like, so not only is Apple not getting the $40 million worth of gold because they're not doing it themselves, they're paying for the privilege of someone else doing that. So his final paragraph, which I think is accurate, he says, internet commenters and journalists have been suggesting that Apple is some sort of combination of noble and genius that is making a killing off your old stuff, which, by the way, Apple doesn't care about $40 million. But anyways, he goes, that may be the case, but that's because the company is fixing and reselling your old phones, not because it's melting them.
Right. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny that you would say that Apple doesn't care about $40 million, because it's amazing to me how bad we are at orders of magnitude as human beings, because it's like the fact that they make $40 billion a year, like people don't even hear that. It's a number 1,000 times bigger than the amount of gold that was recovered from those devices. But this thing becomes this big news story because, for whatever reason, $40 million is a number that we can still wrap our heads around how much that's worth.
That's the equivalent of, let's see, $1,000 would be $1.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So it's saying if you made $100,000 a year, you're making back $100.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. You're like, yeah, I mean, it's cool. I'll take it. But I'm not like,
yes, exactly.
Life.
It's literally nothing to Apple. I mean, not literally nothing, but it's the same as $100 meal for somebody who makes $100K a year. You'd be like, well, I can't do this every night, but you can do it once a week.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
I deserve this. I worked hard, James. That's why I got this lobster tail, the surf and turf lobster tail and steak.
Oh, man, thanks, dude.
Oh, so that was really mean. That was unintentional.
That's okay. So listeners don't know, because I think I told you beforehand, right?
Yeah.
So my church is doing a fasting for today, and then we're breaking the fast by literally eating breakfast together at night. And so my normal routine is sitting down on the podcast and eating something, which like 90% of the time I'm good about muting.
Yeah.
and so I sat down and went, oh, I'm hungry.
Yeah, that's all right.
So good.
That was pretty.
Yeah. Anyways, I thought that was interesting, the way that the recycling stuff works, and
yeah, that is really interesting.
Kind of the back end behind that, and yeah.
I love how bad the media is. It's so bad.
But
It's
it's tough. It's tough.
is it tough? I
We get the
mean,
benefit of being at the end of the week when the truth has been revealed,
mm,
and so we just get to talk about that in hindsight.
sure. I will say it's funny because it's actually that story
Dude,
popped
if you gotta
last
get
week.
clicks, man, you just put it out. You don't care.
That's a good point. Well, I guess yeah, I listen to people who talk about the media, kind of how media works and the inside stuff, and I read stuff about it. And it's just you're right. I mean, that's the truth is that it gets clicks. For whatever reason, people can wrap their head around a ton of gold, a literal ton of gold, and how much that's worth. And so everybody does that story, gets clicks on it, and I remember thinking one because the stories came out last week and we didn't talk about them on the show because I was like, boring. Like everybody's wrong. I don't
Well, it's
even
funny
know.
because that's interesting that you say that it's boring because it's an eye opener, but it's also like the night. One of the reasons why people would want to publish that story is you go, wow, that's a lot of money, but you also don't feel bad. And it's like, cool, man,
Right.
they're recycling. It's all good, and
Yeah.
we all know they're huge. So like, yeah, it should be a big number. So it's like, I-
It's like people who recycle.
it's a
Oh,
safe story. That's the word I'm looking for.
that's a good
It's
point.
safe.
That's so good. That actually is a really good point. It's like recycling aluminum cans. I made $40 million recycling aluminum cans. Everybody would be like, wow, yeah,
Ooh, that's
that's
cool.
awesome. Good job.
You know.
That actually is one of the craziest parts is especially when it comes to Apple's devices. There's so much more aluminum compared to the gold. I'll bet they make as much when if they recycle,
Yeah, if they
an
actually
iPad.
did. Yeah.
Or when they recycle an iPad because the lithium exists. They do recycle those
Right.
things
Yeah.
occasionally. But I'll bet they get as much for the aluminum as they do for the gold just because of how much more volume there is and how valuable aluminum is. But it's interesting. That's
Yeah.
fascinating. I like true stories like that.
Oh my gosh, it's pouring outside right now. And the only reason why I care is I removed all of our gutters yesterday.
That's
I
rough.
got a little gung ho on it. I was like, I'm doing it. I don't care.
It's summer.
Not quite yet.
April showers, man. You know what they bring?
Yeah.
They bring pilgrims.
Let's get there.
So
Cute.
I got another story. This company drives me crazy, and not in a good way. Have you been following Magic Leap at all?
I used to think I knew what Magic Leap was, but I feel like it's a different company than what I originally thought. I thought it was the company where it had a little bar and you put your hand over it and it could like track your hands in 3D space, not very well, but it could do it. But I've kind of got the sense like, no, that's a different company.
Yeah, that's a different company.
That happens to have the same product name, but not the same company. Right?
Yeah, Leap. So it's Leap Motion.
Leap Motion.
One versus Magic Leap.
Magic Leap.
Which is this which is a completely different company.
Oh, okay.
That gets piles of money. So they've got some huge investors and going on. And there was so this is the deal. Wired did, and I'm going to have to turn off my ad blocker so I can read this article. Wired did an article this week talking about the untold story of Magic Leap, the world's most secretive startup, and they're getting piles of money. It's crazy. They've Leap's office park. Let me start at the beginning of the sentence. At the beginning of this year, the company completed what may be the largest C-round financing in history, $793.5 million. To date, investors have funneled $1.4 billion into it. So basically, wow. This is a company that you get the unicorn designation when you have a value of 1.4 billion. So the example is if somebody gives you $1 million for one share of your company that's 1,000th of your company, you now have an evaluation of $1 billion and you're a unicorn. These aren't companies that have $1 billion in investment. So a company that's gotten over $1 billion in investment is an insane amount of money. It's the sort of thing that everybody goes, well, okay, obviously they're doing something right if they're getting all this stuff going on, and people are actually investing in them. And so Wired did this really long article, because that's what Wired does. It's really long articles about this company. And they get into a bunch of different things, like they talk about kind of what it does and what it's all about. And best I can tell, what it is just, it's going to be a lot like the HoloLens, Microsoft's HoloLens. Similar idea. Augmented reality, does head tracking, space tracking, environmental spatial tracking, so they can do all sorts of images in real time. They had a video that kind of showed what the UI might look like a little bit. But I was glad to see that it seems to me that The Verge, at least, agreed, similar sentiment, and they wrote an article based off of Wired's article called 5 Burning Questions About Magic Leap After Wired's Huge Profile. So the first question, what is Magic Leap? And they get into the description. Magic Leap solution is an optical system that creates the illusion of depth in such a way that your eyes focus far things and near for near, and will converge or diverge at the correct distance. Magic Leap claims that its device is unique in the way it beams light into your eyes, though the company declines to explain it further this time. At this time. So sounds kind of cool. Okay, so I guess it's sort of like your AR HoloLens, but it uses different technology. Great. So the next question.
Yeah.
What is Magic Leap? No, seriously. All we know for sure is this kind of display technology. And they have a video of the photonics lab doing what appears to be cool engineering stuff, but they don't show any hardware. There's no headgear. They don't talk about software. They're just talking about how it projects into your eyes. And they don't get into, are they doing depth sensing? Are they doing spatial tracking? What is all of this stuff? It's sort of implied, but they don't actually talk about it. So number 3, seriously, what is Magic Leap? They show you a demo, and in this demo he points out all the sorts of things that they don't go through in the demo. And there's clearly other software, like there's Google software. Does it run off of Android? Does it use Android apps? Is it completely proprietary? Is it an open software system? Like, what are you guys doing? And then
That's funny.
Question number 4. What do these words about Magic Leap mean? Your brain is like a graphics processor, said the CEO, Ronnie Obvitz. We basically tried to clone what that signal is. We made a digital version of that, and we talk to the GPU of the brain. You're like, what the heck? And then the final question, what the heck is Magic Leap? and it's just, yeah, they just keep going into it, and like, oh my gosh, there's stuff. Magic Leap is working on the same kind of light field tech that maybe means they are pushing down the same path as Lytro, which is the company that we talked about last week, and having multiple lenses and all sorts of depth of field things going on. And I just, yeah, it's really, really kind of frustrating, because you're like, they got so much money. People clearly think that for whatever reason this company is a good idea, but every time they tease stuff, it's just such a tease. It doesn't feel real at all. It's kind of frustrating. That being said, people are starting to get curious and look around. So, and as secretive as they are, that's not their only form of protection of their intellectual property. They've actually gone out and gotten patents. And basically what it's showing is that, yeah, they're going to be doing some sort of a cool projection thing where they're going to have light coming in from the side and different lenses that will refract that information as pixels, not unlike what you see on from the HoloLens. But effectively, it's just an augmented reality headset. and it sounds like it's a pretty cool one. And they're using a projection technology that is gonna be really. It sounds like it's gonna be really good for getting your eyes to like focus. Where just because of how they're projecting the light, it's going to be very comfortable to like look through it and see different focuses at different times. And which is sounds cool. That sounds very cool. But it also, and this is one of the things that I think is really interesting, is every demo video they've ever shown, everything they've ever gone into, the images have a consistency, and they're all sort of like glowy, like illuminated. They really like the dream imagery. And I
Mm.
wonder if there are limitations to how good the image looks, where it doesn't look like a screen. It doesn't look like a real picture. It looks kind of dreamy as it shoots into your eyes. I don't know. I'm just I'm very they've piqued my interest, and I would say at this point they've almost certainly gone way too far and oversold it way too much. And by the time we actually get there, it's going to be like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And I'm starting to root in my heart for just a catastrophic failure. Just by the time
Really?
by the time they finally get to market and everybody uses it, they because what's the word that I'm looking for? What's the opposite of humility when you're
Hubris?
yes, the company comes across as though they got a bit of hubris, and I'm not a big fan of that. And they're getting so much money and stuff. I'm hoping that they come out with a product and everybody who tries it like it's pretty good, but you know we
Yeah,
already
I'm
got
trying
everything
to
else.
think like, oh, what's going to be an example of this? Something where it's like the technology is amazing behind it,
Hmm.
but they didn't do a good job of coming up with the use cases and the stuff around it, you know? Be like,
Yeah,
wow, that's amazing that that does that, and I can't actually use it.
right, exactly.
You know,
And
or you're like, they're gonna charge 10 grand for this thing because there's so much technology behind it and they got a huge valuation, so they got to deal with that. And then it's like, yeah, but the Oculus does like 98% of this, just not
yeah,
as good fidelity.
and it's super
Or the
affordable.
Hololens,
Or the
really.
HoloLens is going to come in and just I don't know. There's just not very many stories in human history where a group developing new technology got so much money they they didn't know what to do with it.
Well, we've seen it
And
a few times, right? Like, wasn't Color one of those
um,
apps? Those developers, it was like an all-star team of developers and people, and I feel like it was Color. I don't totally remember the name of it now. They had a ridiculous sum of money, and they're like,
yeah,
"We'll make something great." And
yeah,
the thing they came out with was like social sharing. Oh, okay, that's cool, I
yeah,
guess. Like,
great.
you can share with people near you. That's the thing. And everyone was like, "Wow, that's cool. Thanks, man." Dumb. And they shut down shortly after because they spent all their
Yeah,
money.
it's hard. It's one of the hardest things of that. How do you keep that startup culture, right? And how do you keep that scrappiness and the resourcefulness and move fast and break things? And they don't.
It's just they're gonna, yeah, definitely that. The other issue is Facebook and HTC and Sony. They're getting real customer feedback, and
Right.
they're gonna make devices that people are like, oh yeah, cool. And Microsoft to a point, right? They're starting to get feedback for it,
Right.
and and they're moving on to V2, which again, the quality may not be as good, but yeah, like you said, right? They need to put the put a line in the sand and say we're going to reach this point developmentally, and then we're going to put it out there and get feedback. Because
Right.
the problem is companies like Microsoft are going to keep moving forward, and they're going to keep moving the goalposts on them. And
Right.
Microsoft's got some money behind them,
And one of the big things that's coming out too is that the fact that it's not good enough to just be able to see things. You have the input. The input device matters, and that's one of the
Totally.
early complaints with the Oculus is the fact that it didn't ship with the handheld things. And a lot of people that I've talked to who or I've read who are reviewing them are like, that's the big selling point with the HTC Vive right now, is that full immersive experience with the input. And if this is a company that, if they don't have that down, that's part of it, right? Is like they keep talking about the projection technology, but they don't talk about the rest of it. And I think that's, to your point, is everybody's going to figure out the rest of it. And the HTC Vive's big breakthrough wasn't really great, like shining it into your eyes technology. It's really great, really effective, low latency motion tracking of a bunch of different devices. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Now, having said that, I am I don't want to say it. I'm probably more excited about AR than VR.
Yeah, I hear you.
I think that's like long term. Well, how do I want to say it? Like, I feel like the VR thing, it's you're gonna throw it on for a couple hours, to play a game, watch a movie, entertainment wise. Whereas I feel like the AR is like you're gonna have that on the rest of the time.
You've wanted a really good heads up display goggle for pretty much as long as we've been doing this podcast. You've been
It's true.
excited
It's
about
true.
that. So I'm not shocked to hear you say that.
Yeah, and even the last article we're going to talk about kind of gets it. It's different but related. How about
Yeah.
that for confusing?
Yeah.
And yet you still know more than The Verge does about Magic Leap.
I know, right? Yeah. So it's just what a dumb company.
You're
might,
rooting against them. So funny.
I know. Well, they might come out with a product and I'll just be blown away and I'll flip on
I
my.
think the funny part of The Verge is kind of in your camp too.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys, just give us something.
Yeah. Give me anything. Give me a reason to believe.
And I think, and their whole point too is like, just like yours. Do you know how long that article was for Wired? And we still don't have a clear picture of it.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was their annoyance of it. And it's probably not from the Wired not trying.
Yeah.
Like, no, they're just not telling us anything.
Right. And everybody wants to
not
know,
as far along as we think they are.
I have a feeling that that's it. I have a feeling that they were out there early going to all these different companies with this new projections. They've got a demo that is just amazing for projecting stuff. And they were really able to sell the science and sell the concept to these big tech companies. And these big tech companies 4 or 5 years ago were like, oh yeah, we've all got AR, VR on our roadmap. We think it's important. Oculus was just getting started at that point. PlayStation already had it kind of in the works, but they were like, Sony was clearly, they were aware that was going to be a thing soon. Just looking at how the PlayStation 4 works, it's designed like, this isn't a shock to anybody. And so they got some huge investors because they got some really promising concepts. And now it's like, 5 years later, I'm assuming that's how long it's been going along. Minimum, today they've, Oculus is just, like you said, they've got actual products out there. And I have a feeling that these guys are like, whoa, we haven't built that part yet. We're still working on making our really cool projection technology work great. So I don't know. We'll see.
And I think they got time for AR, right? I mean, that's clearly, they're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna play in the VR space. It probably would work awesome for it when it comes along. But
honestly, I would say this. I think that what you're gonna find is that putting cameras, like actual cameras, and building you'll find that the line between AR and VR blurs really fast.
I agree with that. I can agree with that.
And yeah.
Well, the question is, which one's going to go? Which direction is it going to go? Is it VR is going to become more like AR, or will AR be able to incorporate VR? Because I think about like augmented reality. Dude, you just black out the rest of the screen.
Right.
Throw on a helmet or something. I don't know.
Well, I think.
And there you go, VR. What?
I think they become the same thing really quickly.
I agree. I would agree.
Yeah.
I think. Do I agree?
Yeah, just agree, man.
I think no. I think. All right, here I'm gonna progress. What is it? Prognosticate. prognosticate out quite a few years here. You know how you've made your claim about like iPhones are going to die and it'll just, everyone will just have a tablet and some
Yeah.
sort of Bluetooth device and they'll call it good there. I'm going to say VR is not going to survive long term. It will be subsumed by AR, and what you'll find is people will go, except for niches like video gaming. Okay, that's why I think like you'll get like the PlayStation VR, and I think maybe like the Oculus will be around, but again, it's like they work with Steam type of thing,
Right.
and
I
and that's going to be the use case for it. And I think everything else, like even if someone wants to watch a movie, they're going to use their AR. Yeah, that's right. Your AR headset. Yeah, it'll be a big screen, but it'll be in the room still, and it'll be like you're sitting in your own living room, and it's like it's on the wall in your living room, and you're watching it, and you've got, like I said, headphones on or something, so you can hear it. Or heck, you got a sound system, and anyone could hear it,
right.
but like only you could see it or something. I don't know what, but I could see that being the future. And the idea of like, oh, I'm watching it in a movie theater or I'm watching it in a cabin with a fire roaring next to it. You're just watch that go away, because it'll be more convenient to be like, oh, I've got the AR thing. I'm watching my movie. Oh, a message comes in. I pause the movie, take the message, talk to whoever it is.
Well,
I can check my Twitter feeds. And you're not going to have the same, you're just going to like, you could just walk around and do your thing. I don't know. That's what I see. I think VR, except for video gaming and like very niche audiences, is not going to last as a mainstream thing.
Well, I would say this. I don't disagree with you at all, and the reason for it, I think the best way to demonstrate why you're absolutely right, why the movie theater and virtual reality, although I think it'll be fun and we'll have a certain number of people that's the way that
right.
they do it. It's the big question is, you got a glass of water in front of you that you want to drink. In AR,
right,
you lean over and take the glass of water. In VR, you spill it all over your $1,000 workstation because your hands don't like move in space. It's just, I completely agree. I think it's one of those things where it's definitely a, I
can look less like a goob, and the trick is to get your spouse to not laugh at you, make fun of you. I mean, you're going to see all the crazy pictures of someone sitting there with VR and someone else doing something probably not appropriate in front of them. And you're like, that's just going to happen. And that won't happen with AR. You'll be able to take it public places.
You know what I just realized? They're definitely going to do an episode on VR in Silicon Valley this season. And that's definitely going to happen. That scenario you just put, that's really exciting to me. I'm so glad that show's coming back. Oh man.
That's funny. You are into it. I like it.
It's a great show. And
you get to watch that because of your Amazon Prime account, right?
No, my roommate / cousin, she likes having cable, and she signed up for a package.
What a weirdo.
I know. She signed up for a package. We get literally everything. I mean, like,
wow,
everything. So I get HBO Go through our Comcast account.
You even got like ESPN. What about the NFL football package?
I think so.
Wow.
I just don't watch enough football to take advantage of it. But I get like any sport I can want to watch. Wow. It's pretty great. And the best part about it is, like, because of all the different apps out there, like, you literally can't suggest a movie to me right now that I can't stream on one of these services. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's not worth it financially. If I had any say, probably wouldn't have it. But since I have it, I'm going to take advantage of it.
Makes sense.
But it's cool. Very cool. Very, very cool.
Let's stick on the VR topic.
All right.
Longer here.
So I saw something this week that I just went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over, man. Virtual desktop for VR is a glimpse of the future without monitors. Um,
Ooh.
it's a $15 application that works with your Windows 10 operating system and your Oculus or your HTC Vive. You download it, you set it up, and it just works. Basically, what happens is it turns your monitor into a VR space, and it's when I first heard this, I thought it sounded kind of dumb. And then I read the article and I was like, this seems kind of cool, I guess. And then I watched the video and I was enraptured, James. It's amazing. It just, I don't even know why it seems so like cool to see it, but it's just like, number one, you're in this like VR space. And so like literally you could be in a nebula or you can be in like a beautiful location and your windows just hang in space in front of you as though it were like there's no monitor there, right? It's just the windows are there. You can do it so that it's curved, which I thought was really interesting. That like they're really big into this idea that you actually kind of want warping on your monitor in VR.
You do?
And yeah, and there's something. There's this led me down a path of discovery that kind of I made me realize something. So they warp it around you, so it kind of curves around you, and you can work in your different space. Obviously, it works with a keyboard and mouse that you can't see, so you just kind of have to know where they are. Thankfully, I know
it's not too bad.
Type. Yeah, but it's got all sorts of different functionality in there that are built in. Like they have a YouTube viewer app that you type in the YouTube link, and if it's a 360 VR, 3D video, it just like takes over and you're right there.
Yeah, it just works. Yeah.
It really simplifies a lot of your different 3D content. 3D content, obviously, it does automatically, or it can. Not, I guess it's not obvious, but it can automatically do 3D content. It can do 360 content. You can play video games and stuff. They built it on top of one of your like DirectX or whatever, but they've been able to really streamline it so you can do high-end, high-performance games that require a lot of graphics power in just standard 2D games, but you're playing them in this 3D world on your 3D monitor. You can set it up as though you have multiple monitors, which makes sense. Why not? It's virtual space, as many as you want. And but they've also got other different rooms that you can build, where they have like a viewing room, which is basically just a movie theater. It's just exactly what I've been talking about. And what's cool is you don't have to wait for like these different companies. You don't have to wait for HBO to come out with a viewer application or like a Netflix viewer application. You just go into this place. It's in this virtual room, it's a movie theater, and then
it's like the movie theater is the desktop, and so it's just you just do
exactly
browser.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty tricky.
I don't know why, but that was like that to me. I was like, oh, I'm so in. I'm so excited. I can't stand it. And I made a decision. And I've been.
You made a decision, huh?
Yeah, I know. I'll give you one guess what that decision is, James, and everybody who's listening knows what that decision was. I've been letting out trial balloons all weeks long, just telling people, yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna get the full VR experience, man. I'm gonna get the rig. I'm gonna get the space. I'm gonna get either the Vive or the Oculus, and I'm all in, man. I'm so all in. I can't even stand it. And so far, everybody's been like, yeah, we know. Like, it's a matter
so you're getting a new Windows machine to do it.
That's what's going to have to happen, man.
All right. And obviously, you're not going to get a monitor because you won't need it now, which is nice.
Heck no. I know. I'm just, oh, man. I'm so excited about this.
So which one are you going to do, the Rift or the Vive?
Okay, so...
And when? That's also important.
That is really important. And a couple of different thoughts. So number one...
demo, by the way, is pretty awesome. We'll have the link to it. You should watch it.
You'll have to watch it in regular reality, though, unless you have the Vive already. So
still good.
I actually got to try out the Vive yesterday.
Oh, did you?
It wasn't plugged into anything.
Ah,
I just put it on my head. Um,
okay.
it wasn't the greatest demo I'd ever been on. The guy that I was hanging out with, he's a game developer and software guy, and he got one uh, while he was traveling this last week. Came home, just a bunch of busy stuff, and it was his girlfriend's birthday, and we went back to their place to hang out. And he's like, "Yeah, it's not set up yet." And I was like, "We could set it up. Like, it's okay. Nobody will mind." We didn't because we're adults, evidently. But he has invited me to come back when it's all up and set and ready to go. I'm thinking the Vive, just because one of the things, like I said, I've read quite a few reviews, and as I've started to go down this path, and one of the big complaints of the Oculus is that it's a seated experience. It's really not designed to be a walk around in a space, and without the hand input stuff, it's just limited. It's not as good as the Vive, and all those things are coming to Oculus. But by the time you get an additional camera, so you can get a stand-up experience, and you buy the handsets and everything, it's going to cost basically the same thing, but it doesn't have the camera for chaperone mode. And so it's really limited in that. The only thing that you get with now the biggest difference is that Oculus is going to have a bunch of exclusive content, which means that you'll just be getting pirated versions of all of that for a while. Okay, that's fine. I'm in for an ounce and for a pound, I suppose. So I would go with I'm going to go with the Vive. The reality of it is I have no idea how to pay for all of this. So because I've looked into it, and like you can get the minimum requirements for a machine for $1,000. I mean, like there's no way to get around that.
Yeah, minimum today.
Yeah, and I don't want the minimum today. I want slightly better than the minimum today, so that the thing lasts longer than 6 months for the next head device to come out. So I'm figuring if I were to put $1,500 into the machine, $800 for the Vive, and then, or between whatever, and then a couple $100 for software and stuff, you're talking $2,500 out the door for the complete setup, which makes me swallow deep because
that's not a small number.
It's not at all, but it's going to be worth it, James. It's going to replace my reality.
Steam product. Is that right?
What?
They just sounded on this virtual reality desktop thing.
Yeah. Well, so the Oculus is supported by Steam.
Yeah, but I'm just saying Steam is the one who made this software. Is that right?
I don't think so.
No, maybe it's just
you can buy it through Steam.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
It's really cool. So
you're gonna do it, huh?
I think so.
You haven't figured out how to pay for it yet.
I think so, but this is the nice part. Like both the HTC and the Oculus are so back ordered. I'd have until August to figure out how to pay for it anyway. Even if I bought those today, I mean, I got time. I just got to figure it out. But I'm on the bandwagon, man. I'm excited. And then the last thing I did want to throw this out, and I thought this was interesting, was that one of the big breakthroughs for both of these was that they got rid of what they describe as not the windshield, with the screen door effect with these with both of these devices.
Okay.
So when you use your Google Cardboard, you can kind of see like it looks like a screen door that you're looking at the image through. Yeah. Well, they were able to get rid of that by using really like specialized lenses that basically blur that. So they get rid of that effect, and they're super high resolution screens. So they're just much better quality, and the image is a lot better on these things. But the simple reality of it is that you're still looking at a subset of the pixels when you're looking at, like, for example, in the movie theater experience version of it, the actual screen that you're looking at is a subset of the number of pixels that you have. And just when all is said and done, they're like, it's just not a super high resolution image, period. Like it's not like going to. It has the size and the sound and the spatial experience of going to an IMAX theater, but it doesn't have the resolution of it because it's not possible. There's not that many pixels, so everything looks a little bit dulled and blurry when you're talking about things that you, especially you want super high, crisp, like visions for. And that is why the warping of the virtual monitor is so important, is because it allows you to get more. It allows them to use more pixels in sort of this space, and it clarifies the image, and it makes it easier to like type and stuff, and read. Yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting to think about that. That's the next generation. We're now going to be going into this arms race for pixel density on these devices, and it's going to become ridiculous.
Yeah. We watched it with the phones for a few years.
Exactly. So that's it. Also, you can do live YouTube VR, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, you need a different link for that one.
Do I? What is it? Oh, I doubled down, James. I doubled down.
I know you were just that excited about it. Okay, so a couple other stories here. First one, I don't know if you heard about this, but for April 20th, otherwise known as 420, Snapchat released a new filter for their photo thing, and it's a Bob Marley filter.
Yes.
That does a few things. So the first one was you get the dreadlocks, you get the classic hat, and it actually turns your skin darker, makes you black. And apparently the internet did not take that nicely.
It's funny, I'm mixed on this one, because there's a part of me that's like,
oh, it also changes your gender, by the way.
Because there's like female. So the whole blackface thing, yeah, that's probably a bad idea. But they're genuinely not trying to like. There's a big difference between, I think, between like an intentional, oh, we're doing blackface, this is supposed to be racially insensitive and upsetting, versus Bob Marley. Like, it's a Bob Marley affair. It's a face swap with Bob Marley. Like, come on. Like, how horrible. Like, I don't know. I just, on 420, like, that's, I'm surprised. It seems like the sort of thing that Snapchat did specifically to get people to try that filter out. And people would be like, oh, Snapchat has filters. Oh, that's cool. It's like, it worked out so well for them. It's almost like they did it and then told everybody, by the way, we're doing blackface. Get angry at us. Because it's harmless. It's incredibly harmless. I mean, if you turned it into like an actual app, I could see, like, like a bigger project, I could see how that'd get controversial. But I don't know. I don't know.
I'm totally with you. I didn't think it was that huge of a deal. Though I did think it was interesting. When they talked to Snapchat, they were like, the lens we launched today was created in partnership with the Bob Marley estate. And it gives people a new way to share their appreciation for Bob Marley and his music. Millions of Snapchatters have enjoyed Bob Marley music and respect his life and achievements. And asked if the Bob Marley estate was aware of the date the filter would be used. And they were like, yeah.
The Bob Marley estate uses his image to sell marijuana. Like, that, yes, they're aware. They're telling them to do that. That's what his image is valuable for. Like, what the heck? God, people are stupid.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of outrage on the internet, though. Just hoping to feel your dreams. Of one day them going down.
I wish that were true, James. Except
the opposite.
I was going to say, I think this was a good one. This was a net positive for Snapchat. And the worst part about this story, James, is it brings me on the Snapchat side. It makes me like them more, and that's the opposite of what I want.
That's funny. I do like, though, they borrowed the face swap idea.
Yeah.
So they got that built into the app now too. Man, everything. That's a good sign. Now they're copying others, right? That's
That is a good sign. That's interesting. That is a good sign. Man, face swap. Those guys, they should have had a simple backhand so you could share your face swap pictures and they'd be off
they
and
charged for
running.
the app. That was part of the problem.
Oh
If
yeah,
they
that's a
could
good
have
point.
figured out how to just offer for free with some ads and, like you said, simple sharing, blowed
Yeah,
up.
which is
Because everyone I've
literally
seen, everyone loves it. Everyone
yeah,
loves it.
it's literally how Snapchat started. Super simple concept, single idea, simple sharing, do it for free. But
They should have just been like, we'll figure out the revenue model later. But
right.
oh well.
Oh well,
Instead,
so
Snapchat's
so.
going to take it and run with it and get huge, maybe. Okay. This is actually, believe it or not, folks, this is our final story for the day. Since Matthew's not feeling good and I have a deadline, we're going to
Yeah, he's not
hopefully
going.
shorter. Watch us go an hour this next article.
I know.
A half hour. Anyways, here we go. So there's this dude. His name is John Lee. He wrote an article kind of lashing out against headphones. So he asked the question, why don't we make cordless headphones? He asked that question in 1999. And
That was a while ago. Okay.
yeah. And he said he was sitting on a chairlift with his high school friend and they were heading to, the top of it. And they both had Sony mini disc players. Boom. I was a part of that little short-lived era.
Mm.
So anyways, his friend wanted to share a song. And so he was trying to get his headphone cables, trying to untangle them while not letting any of it drop below. And he goes, by the time they were to the top, the headphones were still knotted and little frozen balls of wire. And he was like, just trouble.
Yeah.
So he's like, can we do any better? Well, he was now talking to another friend who is a Google Ventures person and a co-founder of a company called Keyhole. And he was told about a $13 Bluetooth earbud.
Okay? All right. That is
so
affordable.
The big obnoxious ones
Yes.
that, usually sit on top of a face. He's like, it's that, but it's $13 and it goes in your ear.
It's like the size of
That's
a quarter.
Yeah, exactly. And he ordered it on Amazon. He got it. It was awesome. It's called the Ergo, I guess. And one of the things that he found was interesting about it was, a lot of things. But number one, he could multitask with just a stream of information feeding him while he was walking or working or even making dinner. And with the ability of speaking, he has an iPhone. So speaking through Siri, he was like, he could listen to his text messages. He could reply to text messages. He could listen to music. He could listen to map directions. He could read by using that one hack that we talked about.
Oh yeah.
Telling me to read it to it. And so he could quote read via listening to it. He could listen to podcasts. He'd fall asleep listening to music, I guess. And he was like, and my girlfriend had no idea. and he's like, and there are obvious shortcomings. It's got poor battery life and sometimes poor Bluetooth connectivity, and there's awkward button clicking. And he's like, and there are awkward social implications where people thought he was paying attention, but he really wasn't. And but he was like, this thing's like, this is it. And so for him, he was also, if you've ever seen the movie Her, we've talked about it quite a bit. It's like, think of it like that. Okay. It's essentially what it started to become. And it was this weird thing where he really started to talk to it and to kind of be in his own little world, just like in the movie Her. And so for him, he actually one of the conclusions that he came to was that as a medium, audio is truly more captivating and difficult to ignore than text. Which, by the way, is one of the reasons why podcast advertisements have 3 times greater recall than online video ads.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so through this, experiment where he was using it all the time, he was like, man, this really is engaging. And, it was fine. Like if he wanted to pay attention, he'd have to take it out and put it in his pocket, which is like what you can do. But it was, it's opposite than say like your phone. It's not about, your phone, you're pulling out your phone. It's like with this, like it's already there. You have to take it out.
Interesting.
And yeah. And so his, he thinks it'll be done. Like he goes, this is the essentially, um, let's see here. It says we're a quarter of the way through 2015, and entrepreneurs like Sam Leeson have called it the year of the bots. And, which statement kind of like hammered down last week. He said, indeed, I'm beginning to see that we have the convergence of bots, AI, home technology, self-driving cars, and the rumors of an iPhone 7 that emits 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. He goes, what is missing is a device that can harmonize all of these technologies. And so he's talking about like probably will only be done by like Apple and Google, where it can fully integrate this in-ear technology with with everything else. He even has his wish list for iPhone 7, which has the Bluetooth earpods. Siri becomes an open platform for developers, just like Amazon's Alexa. He says iMessage becomes an open platform for developers as well, just like Slack or Messenger or Telegram, which I could definitely see happening. He's
Right.
like, and by putting these devices in our ears, even more so than a watch, they become a part of our bodies, and and a wearable computer that helps to accelerate the biological evolution. Yeah, he's like, he got deep into it. And he's like, and it's super personalized as well. And because like, again, you're like the only one who can hear these things and knows what it's saying. And yeah, he was super pumped about where he thinks we're headed. And he's like, and this one, which works pretty well, it's $13. It's not a crazy out there price point. It's like the technology's been solved from a hardware perspective. Now it's just software.
Right, right. That's interesting. That's really fascinating. Man, that, ugh. I did like the fact that they use the bundled up um, earbuds for the Apple earbuds for their big splash image. And then the reason why that's interesting is because everybody has their different assumptions about why does Apple want to get rid of the 3.5 millimeter jack. Is it because they want to sell new headphones? Is it because they want to sell new adapters? Is it because they want to make the phone even smaller? And it's funny, one of the things that never occurred to me that could be the actual answer and actually feels very real is that they hate tangled headphones. It's just one of those problems that drives them insane. And they realize that until they get rid of the 3.5 millimeter jack, people will still expect to get earbuds with wires, and will still keep, and if they don't, they'll keep using them. They're like, no, it's time to get beyond tangled wires for your earbuds. It's fascinating. That's fascinating. I think that the idea of like a $13 Bluetooth heads, like the earbuds and stuff, I don't know, between your watch and your ear and your thing in your ear, just completely get rid of the phone. I think the phone is so a fad, James. That's becoming clear, right? I mean, whether it's your augmented reality glasses or your smartwatch or your earbud, I feel like we can all agree the one thing that ain't staying around is a piece of glass in your pocket.
Well, I could easily see they just get rid of the glass. And so you still have a computer in your pocket or somewhere on you. You just can't do any physical input to it. This is like your what do you got? It's a Cube, or what do they call that? Your Mac
Mini.
Your Mac Mini, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, we don't. It's super small. It's super cheap because you're connecting to it using everything else, and yeah, it has the hard drive for storage. It's got the Bluetooth connectivity. It connects to, whatever, to all of the different networks. You turn it on, plug it in. Battery life stays on forever because there's no screen, no inputs to worry about.
Right.
It has motion sensitive chips in it or whatever. And I could see that definitely.
Yeah.
And then eventually it gets down to the size where it's like it is in your watch or it's in your headset or whatever that it needs to be.
Right.
But and if you had it all as one, that was I don't know. I could see it. I also
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised that it doesn't happen though. So I just want to put that out there.
Sure. Come on, James, just commit. We can make it
No, because I'm not quite ready to commit.
happen. Yeah, this is an interesting. I think the big thing for me is that my big takeaway in this is that I think you're gonna get more of that. You're gonna get Microsoft thinks that's the future, is talking to a robot. So does Amazon, by and large. I mean, that's such a big part of what OK Google is. It's this ability to have a conversation, a real language conversation, have it give you information based on that. To get rid of touching a piece of glass or using a keyboard and keyboard and mouse. And it requires some real rethinking of how these platforms work, and a lot of work is going to take us to get there. But that's the direction that they're going. I would say, unless there's some obvious thing that we're missing, which we might be, about why, or I should say not obvious, unless there's some very subtle thing we're missing about the nature of information just being spoken to us. It feels pretty inevitable to me.
I would agree.
And I use, and just to clarify, I use Siri all the time for just simple commands, simple stuff. And if it could suddenly get it more expansive, and I could really talk to it and tell it what to do, and not have to pull my phone out of my pocket and just have my headphones on, I would. I'd get used to that really quickly. So I understand I understand the argument he's making, and
I think some of those other things he's talking about are bigger deals too.
Yeah,
it's like make these things open platforms. Clearly that's working for Amazon, so Apple's watching it. It's going to happen, and you wonder if they're watching like what's happening with Slack and Messenger and things like that as well for their iMessages. It's like, is there a way that we can make this thing a little bit bigger as well?
Messengers,
I don't know. Of course, the App Store is working for them, so I don't know how much they want to disrupt that.
And Messenger is weird in that it requires, it's just because it's actually encrypted and how they encrypt everything, it's a little bit more of a mess than a lot of other. It's not nearly as straightforward as Facebook's Messenger. iMessages is not nearly as straightforward as Messenger to open up like that.
Yeah, and maybe not in the sense that I'm talking, maybe not like with the bots per se, but just in the, I don't know. Yeah, I think you're probably right. But Siri at least should.
Yeah, Siri's got to get a serious improvement. At some point, you've got to give my third-party iPod or podcasting app the ability for me to say, "Hey Siri, start playing this app. Do Siri commands." You got to get to that point. And I don't know what their technical challenges that they're dealing with, or if it's not a technical challenge or what, but
yeah, I don't know. It's probably an organizational challenge, honestly, like a cultural. That's not a place that they're strong in, and it's just hard. I don't know. But heck, Google, they can do it too. But they're, I don't know. It's, again, Amazon has done it with Alexa, and I think that's going to push the other guys in that direction.
I agree.
Go, okay, we're going to figure it out. So it's good. Competition's good.
I don't know. Is it? You've been telling me for the last couple of months that it's bad.
I know.
Monopolies.
I know. Well,
they have their place.
Exactly.
But,
okay, man, that's what we got. That's the week.
I like it. It's good.
That's the good stuff. There we are. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for listening to 239. We really do appreciate it. So don't forget, you can check out all the show notes with all the links at furlobros.com. And if you'd like to get the show notes sent directly to you, you can sign up on any page. I actually just set it up so you can do it on the sidebar of the podcast as well. So easy to find. And finally, this podcast is supported by listeners like you. So if you would like to contribute, you can do that. Again, just check out furlobros.com. And on that page, it'll tell you how to do it, or on that episode 239, it'll also tell you. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Have a fantastic day. My name is James Furlo. My inside out, is that it? No.
Middle out.
Middle out. Brother is Matthew Furlo. And so we will talk next time.